Good morning.
Welcome to the morning show.
Yeah.
The Big Show with Glenn and Angel on Kiss 92.
Good morning.
Sometimes getting out of bed in the morning is a lot to deal with all at once.
Good morning, Singapore. I love it. Everyone's looking so fresh on the Big Show TV. You should watch us if you're not already tuned in to us on YouTube or Facebook. But if you're just listening in to us on the radio, well, just as well. We have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning.
Good morning, Dr. Jerry. And today, I think let's jump right into it because this is a topic that's really been affecting me personally, and I'm sure a lot of other people. As soon as I read those stories or I hear of anyone who's been through this addiction of KPods and all these laced vapes that have the stories that have been going around, I feel so... I get so sad. You know, it's like that. Talking to my husband about it the other day, and he's like, "Why are you so affected by it?" I said, "I'm not sure, but I'm really sad for those that are addicted to it, and sad for the people that might know people addicted to it and can't stop it."
But you know, Jerry, I was very surprised when I was reading about this a few days ago that 1 in 3 vapes has etomidate in it. It's etomidate, right?
Etomidate, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, that's shocking.
Yeah, and it's not just etomidate. There's other stuff like ketamine. There's stuff like cocaine coming up as well. There are a lot of methamphetamines that are being laced in it. And they actually caught someone that was doing it here in their apartment, lacing these vapes.
Oh.
So it's not just stuff that's being imported. It's stuff that's happening in Singapore as well. So this is a real problem.
What do you think, Jerry? Have you vaped before?
No, and I've never smoked before, so
Good girl.
yeah.
Don't ask me, but okay.
So I'm not the super best person to talk about all these different substances, right? But I can talk about the clinical disorder. I guess because of all the articles that are coming out and all the stories that are coming out, people are starting to feel worried again. But you know, all these addictions have always been there in different ways and in different forms, right? And you know, it also depends on the accessibility. So many years ago, during my time when I was in school, the glue was very accessible until I don't know what happened to the glue. I think, you know, you have to be of a certain age or it suddenly disappeared from the shelves. And those were accessible and people were using it. So now we knew that the vape was very accessible a number of years ago, maybe about 6-7 years ago. We knew it was super accessible already, and with the Telegram, with all the channels and everything, and the children were able to access it quite easily. And remember, these children, they do have a lot of resources. They are very familiar with all these social media tools. Right, so accessibility is one. Now, when it is in the market or any product in the market is there for a period of time, they need to innovate. So what do you do? There's so many flavors that you can come up with for the vape, right? There's so many designs that you can come up with. So if anyone has not seen some of the designs, they're really, really cute. If you've not seen some of the flavors, they are quite funky also.
Yeah.
So, once you've maxed out, or you've maxed out all the different ways to be creative with it, what do? You add more exciting ingredients into the product, right? So, and then you resell it. Now, it is so easy to ingest, the vape is so easy to use, and so accessible. So I cannot blame the children that purchased it, but it's been in the market. So why are we only talking about it now? You see, we need to understand that there is that whole issue and where the issues are, which we are going to talk about it today.
All right, let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV. Meantime, here's Drew Chen and Haneri Atlas on Kiss 92. Okay. I just want to say, Jerry, does it, you know, these you're mentioning like glue and stuff like that. I love the smell of glue, right? I've said this before, and I love the smell of petrol and all that, but I didn't become an abuser, an addict, right? Although it was accessible back then, because I knew better. I knew that it would destroy me. But
Education.
But why are the kids like that these days? It's like,
Are they looking for attention? Are they not being given enough attention by family, or are they being left to their own devices most of the time?
I mean, okay, before we even blame anybody, so this is not a blame session, right? We need to understand what is addiction, because like you say, some of us enjoy the smell of petrol, enjoy the smell of glue, enjoy the smell of Vicks, enjoy the smell of, medicated oil,
That's
right?
Glenn, all of the above. He's got the big...
Yeah, I mean,
I always have this with me.
Preference for the olfactory. I remember when my perfume was a little bit stronger, and you could catch the whiff of it, and you say, hey, it smells really nice. So your olfactory sense is very, very sensitive. Now, that does not make you an addict. An addict is where they take a certain substance and their reward system is being fed in their brain. So they crave for it more and more. And, they are not bothered about the consequence. And they will continue to partake in the behavior, and it increases over time. Right? And when they stop the behavior, they have all the unpleasant feelings of withdrawal, the feelings are very negative, and they need to then, go into the behavior again, or partake in the behavior again, to ensure that they get that high or the similar high again.
But Dr. Jerry, I feel like with things like these KPods, right? Once you indulge in, say, the first drag or the first few drags, and you see what it does to you, doesn't that drug itself draw you in over your better sort of, you know what I mean? Like you're left with no choice but to become addicted to it. Even though you've been brought up well and you know that this is bad for you and you know it's going to do you harm, but because drugs are such, they draw you in and they pull you in. So even as someone who knows better, something like that is something that you can't fight off. Am I right, or am I incorrect with saying this?
So they have different levels. So everyone would say that vape is better than smoking. Right? And when you're smoking, you can stop anytime. So when you're vaping, you can stop anytime. They are in control. So most of them do say that. Whether it's alcohol, also they say that. I can stop anytime. So certain substances, maybe you think you're able to stop yourself. So just physically stop yourself. There are some that you're describing that cannot, once you're drawn in, you cannot stop yourself. For example, heroin. So for those heroin users, they tell me you don't understand at all, which really I don't, right? Once you take it, there's no going back. That sort of high is something they will never ever get anywhere, and it takes a lot of self-control and a lot of changes to happen before they can even stop that particular drug. So we're not looking at that level of drugs. We're looking at something that is a lot milder, that is probably social. So it starts as a social sort of engagement. So yes, many of them vape in private, but you're introduced as a community, and sometimes you do it with your friends. So you smoke with your friends, you sniff glue with your friends, you vape with your friends, you drink with your friends. So some of these substances are social substances also. Yeah.
I feel like saying that a problem like this is milder is really underestimating it, because we have already seen deaths associated to
Yes.
the KPods,
Yes.
you know? Like I saw this video of this boy who lost his friend, but he too, it's on the Straits Times Instagram, but he too became addicted to the KPods, so much so that because it's a sedative, when he fell, he hadn't realized he had injured himself. And when he got up the next day, he noticed that his whole hand was bleeding because he couldn't feel the pain.
Right.
You know, so they can't feel their legs, they can't feel their arms, you know, because it's just designed to put you to sleep, basically. And it's designed to be injected and not go directly into the lungs, which is what is happening with these zombie vapes and all that.
Yeah, so it becomes dangerous, right? Because you are unable to be in control of your body. So you're not conscious, but you don't even realize that. You only know that you're consciously inhaling it. You don't know what it's doing to your body. So that is the dangerous part. And these children or these people that are taking it do not have adequate knowledge about it. Yeah, they just know that they are vaping, full stop. They don't read further into it. They don't learn further into it, you know. And if we look at addictions, there's different areas that might be causing it, right? So there's a biological, there's a psychological, and then there's the environmental. So biological is when your body is more, it craves more for that dopamine rush, and you think of people like thrill seekers. So they have a preference towards certain activities, certain substances, right? Sometimes we have children who are born from parents who have taken drugs, so their bodies, physiologically also would crave for the drugs. Then you have the psychological factors, right? Because if you're looking for sensation seeking, or you're looking for the high, because of emotional issues, or because you had a trauma, then that is something that we can deal with, right? And then the last one is the environmental factors that I actually want to focus on, because we have most control over these issues. So the first one that I want to talk about is the family issue.
Okay, hold on, Jerry. Family issue, let's talk about it on the radio.
Okay.
Kiss 92 traffic.
In the CTE tunnel heading towards the AYE, look for a vehicle having trouble before Havelock. Avoid lane 3. Also on the BKE towards the PIE, an accident right before the KJE. And finally, on Woodlands Avenue 2 towards Avenue 1 after the Seletar Expressway, avoid lanes 2 and 3. Some vehicles having trouble there. If you spot anything or have any information, our number is 8855-0920.
Welcome back to The Big Show on The Big Show TV. It's a lovely Tuesday morning, and every Tuesday we're joined by our lovely Dr. Geraldine Tan from the Therapy Room, award-winning psychologist. And Jerry, Dua Lipa just reminded me about this. In future episodes of Therapy Tuesday, maybe we can talk about people who are scared to be lonely.
Oh,
That's a good one.
A nice
Right?
one.
Okay, she's taking notes right now.
Thank you, Dua.
Okay,
But I think that's a real funny name. Oh yeah, maybe we can talk about people whose parents have given them
terrible
like, weird
names to grow up with.
So much so they're condemned for the rest of their lives
Oh,
unless
dear.
they change their names. Like Dua Lipa. How
They-
stupid is that name Dua though?
If anyone is stuck with the name they don't like, deed polls are only like $100 in Singapore, so you can change it anytime.
Yeah?
Yeah, on your own.
Okay. Anyway,
All right,
back
Dr.
to
Jerry.
what you were talking about just now, Jerry.
Yes, and today is a little bit of a serious topic here, and we were talking about the causes of addiction. So I mentioned about the biological, the psychological, and now I want to look at the environmental. So the first one that I want to talk about is family issues. So sometimes, there are a lot of maybe situations, chaos happening at home, and these young people, turn to substances to feel good because they're introduced by friends or they're introduced by, social media.
But this is terrible though, the drugs. Right? You're talking about the KPods. So you might as well just drink alcohol.
It's different because the access to alcohol is harder than the KPods.
Yeah, but it's less harmful.
Of course, I don't think anyone gets into an addiction thinking it's going to harm them. That's what I don't know. Dr. Jerry, you're the
I
psychologist.
think these
here.
are people who have, addictive personalities, if that's such a thing.
Is I'm sure there's such a thing as addictive personalities.
Because
It's-
take me for example, Jerry. I don't like to use myself as an example.
Never do,
But
yeah.
I have a very addictive personality. If I like something, I go all the way. Plus, they know how much I like needles and all that. How come I'm not a drug abuser?
Yeah, so Dr. Jerry, this is true. Once he clings on to something,
Yeah.
That's it. He gets his hooks in and, you have no escape. But
Yeah.
why is it he's not an addictive, sort of bad addictive kind of
In other words,
abuser?
why am I so perfect? Why? How did I end up like this?
You don't answer that, Dr. Jerry. Please
It was
don't.
Serious?
Like I can do stuff and not get addicted.
Don't
and
feel
just
him.
enjoy
No,
myself.
No.
Right. But he is not a good example. Like I say,
You're not a good example.
It's not a good example to use. He has a preference for, and he's a very, very sensitive nose. So it doesn't mean, I already mentioned earlier, it doesn't mean that he would be addicted to certain smells or substances, right? But
Okay,
he
hold on,
can-
Jerry. Okay, hold on. I think whatever you're gonna say may ruin my reputation. So let's talk about this on the Big Show TV.
The sensitive soul.
Yes. It's 8:21.
Kiss 92 time check brought to you.
So
I
just
didn't think that's nose.
oh no, it's okay. All right.
Back to environmental issues.
Yes,
Family
okay, back to environmental
issues.
issues.
Going through divorce, abuse, family abuse, domestic violence, these can nudge a person to use substances as a distractor. So that's
An escape.
one of the reasons, right? The other one that we commonly see, and the government is doing research about it, is that some of these people that use substances have actually academic struggles. That means they have perhaps a learning disorder which make them struggle in school, and unable to follow the classes, and also ADHD.
But
So
this is going to
attention-
make it worse for them.
Yes. So they're
Right.
more impulsive, they're less organized, they're less focused on the negative consequences. So it compounds the problem also. So this is also another area. So I do want to encourage parents, because we have the knowledge now, the awareness and the resources now, that if you feel or if you notice that your children are struggling in school, just approach the school or approach any professional just to find out so that we can assist them. And, I'm not saying that all of them will go into substance abuse, but they will find their own crutch.
What about scare tactics? Because I know the government is about to list it under an illegal drug. Before it was just a controlled like pharmaceutical, right? So do scare tactics with kids work? Because, either you're going to be thrown into jail or you're going to pay the fine or what have you, go into rehab. Yes, Glenn?
I'm for scare tactics.
Yeah, because parents, some parents are like, you don't do this or else. You give it up or else.
But there were scary ads when we were growing up regarding drugs.
Yeah, for sure.
Remember how you'll see someone in jail and the person is going through withdrawal symptoms, foaming at the mouth and stuff like that.
crouching over.
And then they'll use the syringe and show us how these drug abusers, got hooked
End
in the
up,
first place. And it's just like really scary.
But
and
I
I
don't-
still remember this till this day.
I don't know if that will work anymore because people are so used to seeing things online.
Yeah.
Before it was a poster, it was a rare TV ad in between the news or whatever movies you were watching, right? But now because we're so bombarded by so many images, it may just, it may not affect them as much as it affected us back in the day.
Well, they're still putting like scary photos on
the
cigarette boxes
doesn't
and all
stop people
that.
from smoking, I feel.
That's
it
true.
doesn't stop anyone
It doesn't.
from smoking. Yeah. So the scare tactic works for some of the children or some of the young people, but not all of them. And scaring them, yes, they're scared, but for those that need assistance, those that need support, they still don't know where and how to get it or what they need to look out for. So that's why we're talking about it, right? So if you do have like family issues, you have trauma, please approach, the authorities. If you have academic issues, please approach the professional, approach your school, the rather than having yourself gravitate towards poor social support. So we talk about social support, right? And many of them do it in like little groups or they have a community that engages in this sort of behavior, or they have peer pressure. So why do they do that in a group? Because they feel that support or pseudo support from these people. So can we redirect them to a community that are more grounded in values that are a little bit more positive, right? Yeah, so we are looking at values also. So usually when you're engaged in one substance abuse, it doesn't just stop there. There are many things that come together with it. So some of the teens, they do it in the middle of the night. So first of all, you need to get it from somebody that is illegal. You can't get it from legal, sources.
There are no legal sources for vapes.
Yeah. So you already do something illegal. You do it on the fly. You do it at night. You do it in the park. You gather together. And you get caught by the police. Yeah. So it just keeps compounding all the, bad and negative behavior, right?
Yeah.
So should we then legalize the good vapes? Because obviously there are bad vapes and good vapes. I mean, according to the stat, right? 1 in 3.
Yeah.
1 in 3 contains
Etomidate or any illegal drug that goes
so
in.
which means there are vapes that are less harmful, right? Because look, cigarettes are being sold.
Yeah.
So if cigarettes are so bad, then why are the cigarettes being sold? So then maybe to
Combat it.
handle this issue and to combat this issue, if the safety and well-being of people is what we are thinking of, then let's go ahead and look for and legalize vapes that are less harmful.
But I think with vapes, it's very hard to tell what is laced and what is not. Like with cigarettes, you can tell when a cigarette is, say, not a cigarette.
Okay.
Like marijuana or whatever it may be, because you can smell it and you can see it's rolled differently, whatever it may be, right? But with vapes, because the liquid is hidden with flavors and whatnot.
No, but HSA can do their research, right? I mean, I refuse to believe that there is no legit vape manufacturer out there that has
clean
cleaner. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's
Like-
still bad.
Yeah, of
as I
course,
said,
yeah.
cigarettes are bad. But they're being sold.
But drugless. You're talking about
Yes,
drugless
yes.
apart from nicotine.
Correct.
That is just nicotine. In
yeah,
there.
maybe one or two brands.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or whatever. You
Oh,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I know it'll complicate matters, but what I'm saying here is that if we don't identify the
good from the bad.
less harmful from the really, really harmful, then this problem will never go away.
Yeah,
right?
and the more you make it illegal, the more people want it, right? It's just
Yeah.
human nature, right? It's like the forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
You can't
Truth
eat
of
it.
matter is,
Yeah.
who out there is not vaping right now? There's so many
Yeah, there's
people who
so
are
many
vaping
people, yeah.
because it's cheaper than buying cigarettes. It's
And
less
easier
smelly
as well, yeah.
and all that. So what's going to happen?
Yeah.
How is this
Glenn
problem going to be? Sorry?
Glenn
No,
should go on the board of HSA and debate your stance.
He absolutely should. No, you have a point, though. He does have a point. Okay,
Yeah.
we're going to go back on air.
Okay.
Kiss 92 traffic.
On the SLE towards the CTE, a vehicle's broken down at the Yio Chu Kang Road exit. And on the PIE towards Changi, a vehicle also has broken down before Thompson Road. Finally, on the BKE towards the PIE, an accident before the exit to PIE City. Avoid lane 1. Wherever you are, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. Today, Dr. Geraldine Tan is talking about vapes and the fact that there are people who are being addicted to KPods and actually suffering right now. You know, and the government, of course, are trying to put a stop to this problem and have recently made Etomidate
They're going to make it
illegal, as in like
an illegal drug. An illegal
but
drug.
isn't
that-
Etomidate in other things as well?
You know, so etomidate is used as a sedative in
Yeah.
a hospital setting.
Right.
So anything that's used outside of that
It's
is going to
illegal.
be illegal. Yeah, and it's going to happen in a few weeks. So that's very, very quick.
31st of July, I think.
Is that it? Right. Okay. Very, very quick. But we've had a lot of comments on our Facebook saying they should educate kids in school and stuff like that. But I feel like if I am in school and I'm sitting down in my assembly hall listening to a talk, it's all going to go over my head because it's all going to be like blah blah blah. You know how it is when adults speak.
Yeah.
You know,
kids
kids tend to just shut off and you know, they don't really care. It's almost like when something happens to them or someone close to them, that's when it hits home.
So, you know what's stopping them from putting it in the science subject to learn about all these chemicals, right? And to learn about the dangers about these chemicals, you know, and make it examinable.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we want to educate them, but we cannot just force feed these information and say, this is bad, this is bad. You
Is
know,
there
but-
is there like a syllabus in school about addictive drugs and you know, things that you need to look out for? No, there's nothing like that.
No, I don't think so. You know, and the children will be very intrigued by this knowledge. So rather than hiding it
Yeah.
and having them learn about it on the internet, which then, like you say, becomes a forbidden fruit, I'd rather they learn it in school in a neutral setting and understand what is good and bad about that particular chemical.
For sure,
Right,
you
and-
arm them with that information, and at least they, you know, they can make an informed choice when they're faced with it. You know, you sit them down in a classroom, you tell them this is cocaine, this
Yeah.
is heroin, this is whatever it may be, and tell them what happens to.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought someone once told me that kids these days are very, very intelligent and smart.
Who said this?
No, I've heard this on many occasions.
I mean, they're
kids these days are very intelligent.
they're very their eyes and minds are open to a lot of things, but whether it's absorbed is a different thing. You know, what they take in you can't really control, right?
And how they use it, because their minds are not yet matured to be able to discern right from wrong. So we need to educate them and direct them. So that's the values part, right? Because they will be exploring, especially your teenagers. That's the exploratory stage of life when
So
they're curious and they don't have the ability to discern.
that means they're all just for show only lah. The outside, all these kids, all you know what I mean. We always say, oh, they're so mature. They express themselves. They know how to carry themselves in a social setting. You know, it's all just for show.
No. But they're
They're
mature.
not-
They're mature at that age. You know what I
Yes.
mean? They're mature
Yes.
for their age. Just because they're 14 doesn't mean they will think like a 40-year-old.
You pass them a vape, see whether they'll try it or not, and then we'll know whether they're mature or not. Okay, let's continue to talk to Jerry on the Big Show TV. Meantime, here's something new from Twice.
This is brand new. Here's a tune that's
I actually want to add this, right, because of all the values and of all the struggles and everything. So sometimes they lose their direction. So if you're looking at the ages of like 13 to the early 20s, right? They are going along with the whole academic studies. It's been mapped out for them. They don't know which direction to go, and sometimes they are also resisting. Like, oh, my parents tell me I need to go into A levels or poly or go into a certain direction, but they are confused. So they don't have a purpose. They feel very pressured by the expectations of society, of the family, of the school. So they may then use substances as a distraction. So one of the areas, and even for the drug users, it really helps them when they look for a purpose. They look for their purpose. They look for their direction, and that helps them to anchor, to go towards their dreams. And the dream is really not the next, substance inhalation or the shooting up.
Yeah.
So there is a dream, there is a goal for them, and there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, we're just adding the addictions management from IMH Institute of Mental Health number on our Facebook. If you or anyone you needs to chat, it's just 1771, nice and easy. There's also a WhatsApp number attached to that if anyone needs it.
I tell you, my mom did a fantastic job. No, I think.
My parents
Seriously,
too, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what they did. Maybe they hypnotized us or what when we were kids.
It's in the food.
But growing up, right, there were so many temptations.
Yeah.
I'm sure, even for you.
Yeah.
I used to spend a lot of time in New York, let me just tell you. Those were some wild parties over
Yeah.
there. But I never touched anything.
But that's,
You know what I mean?
that's the
People
thing,
were
yeah.
bleeding through their noses,
Dr. Jerry, people will experiment. Right? Teenagers will experiment, adults will experiment. But how do you make sure that experimentation doesn't become an addiction?
No, but
you know what I mean?
You shouldn't even experiment.
No, but that's the thing, because it does happen.
Yeah, I know,
I'm not
but the
saying about
message,
it.
I know, but the message, right? That parents, like for example, our parents. I don't know
Yeah.
about your parent, but my mom was like, no, don't
even
even
try.
touch it,
Yeah,
because
same.
that's when you'll get addicted.
Yeah.
So there's no experimentation. The moment you experiment, there is
Yeah.
a chance that you are going to get addicted.
But some parents will say, "I'd rather you try and
Oh my
know
God.
what it's like." No, I'm just saying
Yeah, I
that
know,
there
I
are
know,
some
I
parents.
know.
There are.
There are some parents. So there are different schools of thought. One is absolutely no. One is
Yeah.
let's come together, or let's try.
Let's see
it.
what it's like. Yeah.
Yes. I mean, there's no right or wrong, because your child. There are different management methods, but one main thing is that I want to emphasize to everyone is the group of friends that you are with. Because your friends, and these are your teens, whether you're teens or 20 plus year olds, right, where friends are very, very important. The parents' voice just become mosquito buzz around their ears, right? So friends are really important. where if your friends are participating in this sort of activities, you would be very inclined to participate in these activities. You don't want to be ousted by your friends. You don't want to be the odd one out. Most of the time, we want to belong to a group. So what do we see with some of the guys in rehab, right? Where they come out, the first thing that they do is to change their entire group of friends. So similarly, if you're talking about these children that engage in the KPods and all these vaping behavior, they think it's very trendy. So they will stick with friends that would think is very trendy, and everybody would be discussing, oh, what's the latest flavor? What have you done? Where do you get the next one? So they would share information. So change the friends. So friends are really, really important. Focus. What do they want to focus on? The next flavor that they want to focus on, or what is it? What do they want to achieve in life? So a focus for themselves, right? And also, if they are not coping well in school or not coping well with their emotions, then we would want to help them to deal with that also, because that is a huge contributing factor to them escaping into these sort of behavior. I'm no good in anything, but so I'm going to use this method to help myself, so
Winston says we forget that some parents themselves are also vaping at home, much more than we are led to believe in the news. So it's almost like, it's not surprising that the kids are also picking it up, because they're like, mom and dad are vaping at home. What's wrong with my vape compared to their vape? Mine is cheaper, whatever it is. It's it's got different flavors. So you have to lead by example, right?
Yeah. Okay, let's talk about leading by example on the big show. Hold on. We're going for a traffic update.
Kiss 92 traffic.
Lots of peak hour traffic everywhere, but also on the SLE towards the CTE, a broken down vehicle before Lentor Avenue, and on the BKE towards the PIE before the PIE City exit, an accident, avoid lane 1, and on the BKE as well towards the PIE, but this time before the SLE, avoid lane 1 as well. So 2 accidents on the BKE heading towards the PIE. Might be a road to avoid. Wherever you are, stay safe.
Welcome back to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. If you're watching us just now, you would have seen Jerry and myself, we're making this pinky promise to each other.
Last set.
Okay, Jerry, wrap it up.
So we were talking about leading by example, because when it comes to vapes, adults are doing it as much as children are doing it. I don't know what the numbers are in terms of adults being addicted to these KPods, but what we see are a lot.
KPods?
Yeah, but what we see are a lot of the kids, right?
Yeah.
Everything that we see in the news is about the children. We don't know about the adults.
But I hope the adults are not smoking KPods
We
at
hope
home.
so as well.
Yeah, because initially you were talking about vapes, right?
Yeah, as in parents smoking vapes.
Regular
Regular
vapes, and,
yes.
and that's why their kids are picking up the
vapes, and then eventually
the habit as well. Yeah. Okay.
So I'm sure the adults are also, engaging in such a behavior, but the children have more access to it, or are the ones that have access to it because of the Telegram is being sold very freely on Telegram, which is not social media that is used very widely by the adults. So that's probably why we are not hearing it as much, but it really doesn't mean that the adults are not vaping. They probably are also. But if you were talking about if the family or the parent does it, and the child models, then we want to find out. So I won't just look at the behavior itself. I will look at why the behavior happens also. So we look at family therapy for the parent and child. So not just focusing on the behavior everybody quit together. which you can, but it's also that maybe the child wants some attention from the parent, and then therefore is using that to try and obtain some attention. So we want to find out what else is going on, what is the actual underlying issue that is driving a behavior, and then we deal with that particular behavior.
Yeah.
Addictions.
Okay, but the other thing that I would like to add about addiction is our own imprisonment. So it's not just going to jail, imprisonment. So there are 3 levels of imprisonment that we need to break out of, and that's something that we can do. One is the imprisonment of the substance. Once you get hooked on the substance, you're imprisoned by that substance, right? But if you want to quit, there are 2 more levels to break. One is society's imprisonment. Society has labeled you, you're cast in stone, you're worthless in the eyes of society. So can we then step away from that sort of mindset and help them to come out of that addictive behavior? The most important one is the self, because once you step into it, your self-worth, your self-esteem, your self-confidence is all eroded, and you think you're worthless, and you think that nobody wants you. So there's all these layers, right, that we need to break out of. So for the self, that we need a lot of social support, we need a lot of professional support to really assist this area, and family support also, so that we can break out of this imprisonment. So that's a little appeal for all of us.
All right. I think I'm addicted to golf.
Yes, you probably are.
Yeah, I think so. But thank goodness that's
It's
rather
a safe
harmless.
thing. It's okay. Yeah, it's all right.
I'm also, I think, addicted to alcohol a little bit.
Really? You said it, not me.
But I know how much to drink so that it doesn't affect me at work and in the bedroom. Okay. Thank you very much, Jerry. On that note, I think we better check on out of here.
Yes. And I have a little quote from A Tiny Space. It's about a little boy, 8-year-old, who is nonverbal. And, it's his journey on how his family helps him to find his voice, literally and figuratively. So halfway mark, he says, we welcome new reasons for putting ideas in place. No more tears run down my face. Our hearts have gone through changing seasons. So that's a little hope for those that are struggling.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Jerry.
Thank you, Jerry. We'll see you in the studio next week, okay?
Yay!
Yay! Okay, bye, Jerry. Take care.
Bye!
All right, up next, Lil Nas X with Montero on Kiss 92.